Welcome back, everybody, to This Day in Wrestling History. I'm your host, Brad Drake, and today we are discussing August 30th, 1983. Let's head down to Florida first. Championship Wrestling from Florida ran a show in Tampa, Florida. Unfortunately, the venue is unknown. On this card, we had Dusty Rhodes and Blackjack Mulligan fight Ron Bass and Joe LeDuc to a no contest. Purple Haze and Kareem Muhammad defeated Mike Graham and Scott McGee. And Purple Haze, of course, was Mark Lewin, his alternate persona. He was managed by Kevin Sullivan at this time. And Kareem Muhammad, of course, I believe is Ray Candy. Also on this card, Angelo Mosca defeated Elijah Akeem. That was the other half of the Zambui Express. And I think that was Leroy Brown. I could have Kareem Muhammad and Leroy Brown mixed up in their Zambui Express names, but I'm pretty certain that was the case. Kevin Sullivan defeated Charlie Cook, and Angelo Mosca Jr. defeated Yoshiaki Yatsu. Now, most of you that understand wrestling history and pro wrestling know that that is an absolute travesty because Angelo Mosca Jr. was a horrible wrestler. Unfortunately, he was stuck in the shadow of his father too, but it didn't matter. He just wasn't good. And Yoshiaki Yatsu was a very talented wrestler who had some very good success in his native country of Japan. All right, we're going to head a little bit northeast here over to Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, also known as Jim Crockett Promotions. They ran a show on August 30th, 1983 in the Township Auditorium in Columbia, South Carolina. On this card, Roddy Piper defeated Greg Valentine in a Canadian Lumberjack match. And if you remember, these two had a vicious feud throughout 1983 that culminated in the dog collar match at Starrcade 83. Ric Flair, the Nature Boy himself, defeated Dick Slater by countout. Rufus R. Jones defeated Jake Roberts. The Assassins, this incarnation, I'm not sure. This could have been a multitude of people, but I'm almost positive Jody Hamilton was at least one of them. The Assassins defeated Bugsy McGraw and Johnny Weaver. Johnny Weaver, of course, was a long-time wrestler in the Mid-Atlantic territory and later would become a commentator. Kelly Konitsky defeated Mike Davis. Those are two names you don't hear every day. Kelly Konitsky, of course, was the son of Gene Konitsky, former NWA heavyweight champion of the world. And Kelly and his brother Nick were very, very good amateur wrestlers for Canada. Both wrestled internationally for Canada. Unfortunately, neither one of their careers really took off. They bounced around for a while. They tagged together in some promotions, but they just never really took off. Mike Davis did have some pretty good success. Mike Davis formed a tag team with Tommy Lane, known as the Rock and Roll RPMs. They had some success in Memphis. They had some success in Texas for World Class, and Mike Davis had himself a nice career. And last but not least, Vinny Valentino defeated Bill Howard. Vinny Valentino, of course, was a mainstay in the Northeast for a lot of years, wrestling for the WWF and also the WWF. And Bill Howard, I don't know too much about, unfortunately. The name sounds familiar, but I know that I get him confused with another wrestler. So let's move a little bit west here, a little bit south again. Mid-South Wrestling Association, also known as Mid-South Sports, also known as Mid-South. I ran a show in Lafayette, Louisiana. Unfortunately, I do not know what the venue was for that show, but check out this card. Boris Zhukov defeated Art Cruz. George Weingroff defeated Doug Vines. George Weingroff was a pretty good wrestler, had a unique look. He was with the Pafos in International Championship Wrestling for a while. I got nothing against George Weingroff. I thought he was a pretty good hand. Doug Vines, of course, ended up forming a tag team, becoming, I think they were called the Devil's Duo or the Devil's Own. Not a bad tag team, just a little in that weird pushing the envelope gimmick type deal. But again, Doug Vines was not a bad wrestler at all. Johnny Rich defeated Rip Rogers. And of course, Johnny Rich was the cousin of Tommy Rich, had some very moderate success. The Hustler, Rip Rogers, is still training people today and is considered one of the best trainers in the country and has been for a long time. Rip Rogers also was with the Paphos and ICW for a long time. Very talented man, very good trainer. The Missing Link defeated Magnum TA. The Missing Link, of course, was known as Duty Robertson before. In his mid-40s, he donned some face paint, got himself on the gas, and revitalized his career for another 10 years. So the Link there defeated a young Magnum TA. Check this one out. There was a loser leaves town match. Ted DiBiase, King Kong Bundy, and Butch Reed defeated Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Junkyard Dog, and Steve Williams. Steve Williams was the loser, so he had to leave town. That is an interesting main event there. Let's go on. Let's head straight up to the Northeast, and I'm talking all about the World Wrestling Federation. Vince McMahon Jr., of course, is firmly in control here for over a year, and it looks like they ran a spot show here in Township High School Gym in Freehold, New Jersey. Pete Sanchez defeated Tony Colon. Bob Bradley and Jeff Craney defeated the Invaders. That's Invader 1 and 2. So that is Jose Estrada and, his partner's name, Roberto Soto. So that's the original Invaders, Invader 1 and 2, Jose Estrada and Roberto Soto. Ivan Koloff defeated Charlie Brown, and I think you all know who Charlie Brown from Way Out of Town was. That, of course, was Jimmy Valiant. He was doing the Charlie Brown from Way Out of Town gimmick. It was awesome. Tito Santana defeated Iron Mike Sharp. Neither one of those men need an introduction. And Pat Patterson defeated Tiger Chung Lee. The World Wrestling Federation also ran a show that day at the Fairgrounds in Allentown, Pennsylvania. And this is a pretty stacked card here. Salvatore Bellomo defeated Jack Carson. The Tonga Kid defeated Fred Marzino. Now, I don't think the Tonga Kid was Haku. I think he was King Tonga. So the Tonga Kid, I think, was who became Toma in part of the Islanders with Haku. If I am incorrect, everybody, please feel free to correct me, but I'm pretty certain that's what we're dealing with here. So the legendary Swede Hansen, big time Mid-Atlantic wrestler, held the Mid-Atlantic version of the NWA World Tag Team title many times, including one reign with Ric Flair. Swede Hansen was probably in his 50s at this point. He wrestled Israel Machia. And again, everybody, they don't give results here. We just know who wrestled who. Salvatore Bellomo wrestled a second time here against Tony Garea. And we all know about Tony Garea. Excellent wrestler in the ring. Held the WWF World Tag Team title several times, including with Rick Martel. And remained with the WWF as a road agent up until his retirement just a few years ago. Chief Jay Strongbow defeated Butcher Vachon. There's two huge names. And check this one out. A nice six-man tag match here. Big John Studd and the Wild Samoans wrestled Andre the Giant, Ivan Putski, and Rocky Johnson. You want to talk about some beef in the ring there? The Wild Samoans were 300 pounds apiece. Big John Studd went about 3 1/4. Andre probably legitimately was 375 at this point. Putski was 260, and Rocky Johnson was probably 275. That is some meat and some weight and some beef in that ring. All right, we had an Intercontinental Heavyweight title match. The Magnificent Morocco, Don Morocco, of course, defended his title against Jimmy Snuka. And check out this main event. For the WWF Heavyweight Championship of the World, Bob Backlund defended that title against George, the Animal Steele. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, this was August 30th, 1983, this day in wrestling history. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I'm Brad Drake, and we'll see you next time. Did you know that you could advertise on this channel? Well, you can. Call 815-290-9087 and talk to me today about advertising on our channel. We get over 3,500 hits. We also have a thriving website. We can come up with all sorts of packages for you and make things happen together. Again, that's 815-290-9087 or visit braddrake.net.